Thank you for joining us today for the MyStar Learning Series on new and upcoming MyStar updates.
I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick overview of our session outline and introduce everybody who is here, and then we'll give you another minute or two, and then we're going to go ahead and launch. So we do have some assessment updates that you'll probably be very happy to hear about. We have some curriculum developments, some program updates about things like subscriptions and kits and workbooks and things like that. And then we have some professional learning, new policies and some things that are coming up this summer. And then at the very end, we'll do 3 different breakout rooms with the 3 people who present. And you'll be able to choose a breakout room and then pop in and out of breakout rooms if you have further questions or things that you want to talk about. And that's how we'll roll today. All right, so we have Mariana's with us today, and Lindsay. They're kind of monitoring what's going on. If you have questions for them, you can always throw them in the chat. Barb McIntyre is here. You just heard from Barb. She's a member of our assessment team. And Steph is here, who's our curriculum team coordinator. And then I'm going to talk at you a little bit about professional learning coming up. So to start us off, Barb's going to tell us about some updates and new things that are coming with our assessments.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. So we've got a few little updates to assessment. We're always working on updating our assessments. It's very iterative, and we get comments from teachers on the helpline all the time, and we try to address those as we can too. But one of the new things we've been working on is scoring assessments in terms of the pre-post, because we really haven't given much teacher guidance in that. So we've been working on, especially in the new enhanced units, as we write these new pre-post tests, giving you some scoring guides too. So be looking for those in the fall. So just a quick reminder, as you're scoring a NGSS aligned assessment, we really ask that you think kind of in a standards-based way. And so that's more of a holistic approach to grading. So we really recommend that you think about different levels of proficiency, with level 1 being the least proficient, very basic. Oftentimes at a level 1, a student might need help just to have some of the basic proficiency with the DCI stuff. As they move up in proficiency at a level 2, they're going to be pretty good with the DCI knowledge and maybe a little bit of sense making. Oftentimes they can bring in a little bit of either an SEP or a CCC. As they work to level 3, we consider level 3 to be proficient, which is a little different than Marzano's approach, where level 3 is mastery and level 4 is beyond. We say level 3 is proficient. We consider to be if a student can if a student can integrate all of these dimensions and make sense of a phenomenon or solve a problem with a transfer distance, that's really more of a level 4. We almost consider that like above and beyond. So at a level 3, we're looking for students to be able to integrate 2 to 3 dimensions and start making sense of at least a portion of the phenomenon. So they might be able to show evidence of DCI knowledge using maybe an SEP, but maybe not completely making sense in a really sophisticated way. Usually at a level 4, we ask students to be able to have that DCI knowledge. They should also be able to pretty sophisticated use of the SEP, and then we ask them to look through the lens of a CCC. So that might mean they may have to take a look at a model and know all of the DCI around it, but then also make a prediction about how things might change if you changed one component of a model. Or maybe they're going to take a look at data and decide which data could be used as evidence to support a claim, and then in the reasoning explain how that evidence supports that claim. So that level 4 mastery really is a sophisticated sense making of a new, unique phenomenon or problem using the DCI, SEP, and CCC. So just keep that in mind because that really plays into the way we are structuring the grading and scoring recommendations we make. So here's the process that we would recommend as you grade. We would say, first of all, use the leveling information that we give you and your professional judgment and decide on an assessment item which items or types of responses are going to serve as evidence of each level. So, for example, if a student can only get the first couple scaffolding multiple choice questions right, that might be evidence that they're at a level 2. Let's say they get those right, plus they're able to bring in that SEP and they're able to do some analysis of data. Great, we're really looking at proficient there. Then let's say at the next level, they're able to get that final, like putting it all together question where we ask them to take that DCI knowledge and that data, and then we ask them to make a prediction, or we ask them to explain if something were to change in the data, how that might change. Then we're really looking at more of a level 4. So if you look at what type of response is going to serve as evidence or which items should the students get right. Sometimes I like to read a few student responses just to get a sense for the range. So I might take one of my lower achieving students, one of my high and one of my middle, kind of gives me a sense for what I might look for. As you're grading, you want to look at student work holistically. So I tend to think sometimes students might miss one of those early scaffolding questions, but in the final question, they put it all together and they show me that they really understand that. They maybe just misread that first question. I'm not going to ding them all that much for that. So I'm going to look holistically. Did they show me evidence of their ability, their proficiency? And then I decide, where would this student fall? Are they closer to a level 2, a level 3, a level 4? Are they between a level 3 and a level 4? Where? 3.5, 3.8? What level should that student work? What evidence have they shown you of their proficiency? Then I assign that level. Then the last thing I would do is use a converter to assign a percent or point value. So that's really up to you. And there are a lot of different models you can use. Here are a couple that we recommend or that we've shown, but you can go online and put, you know, standards-based grading 2% scheme, and there's all kinds of models out there. But if you look at these two, you know, a 3.0 is an A. We've got a 90% or a 94%. That's where the majority of your students should be landing. So that just gives you a little bit of a sense, but you can use whatever conversion model works for you, and your school may have one that you're supposed to use. So however that works for you is just fine. Then you've seen in embedded assessments that we lots of times give recommended grading guidance. So in our embedded assessments, in the past, what we've done is in the teacher document, there's a scoring guide. So it'll say, if you use standards-based grading, here's what when we wrote this assessment, this is what we were thinking. Level 2, they got item 1, 2, and 3 completed correctly. At level 3, in addition to that, they probably did 4 and 5. And then at level 4, this might have been a claim evidence reasoning where they had to get 6, 7, and 8. So generally, not always, but generally as we write assessments, we scaffold them. So generally, the earlier questions are more to get students thinking about what DCI content they might have to use. Then we generally bring in the SEP, and lots of times we'll ask them a few questions to get them into whatever that SEP is. So if it's data or analysis, we might point them in the right direction of the graph. Like, what are you looking for here? So we'll ask them a pointed question to make them read that graph and focus on what we want. And then the last question will be with the CCC, putting it all together. So in general, most of our assessments move, as you move through the assessment and you move through that sense-making process, the questions show greater levels of proficiency. Not always, but in general, that's how we structure assessments, beginning with some scaffolding to get students thinking, and then asking them to bring in a little more of an SEP, and then finally a putting it all together question. So with that in mind, we've always given you that sort of grading recommendations for embedded assessments, but we've been starting to work on these for pre-post. And this is what our leveling recommendations look like. So in this pre-post 8.1, there are 3 questions. And question 1 has 4 parts, part A, B, C, and D. Question 2 also has 4 parts. Question 3 just has 3 parts. And you can see, at least from our point of view, and the other thing that I probably should say right away is that we consider assessment to be an integral part of the learning, but it's also a tool for you. So feel free to use assessments in the way that what works best for you in the classroom. But this is what we thought as we were writing the assessment. You may decide to change that. You may decide that really a level 2 is part A and part B, and level 3 is C, and level 4 is D. If that's what you're seeing as evidence in your classroom, that's fine. You can change those levels. These are just recommendations. Nothing is carved in stone here. It's just what we thought. So for question 1, you can see that at a level 2, they'd get A correct. At a level 3, they would get B and C correct. And at level 4, they would be able to get D. Now, if I were giving a pre-post, one of the things you could consider is grading each question separately and giving an assessment grade for each question if you wanted to. That would give you 3 grades for this particular pre-post. You could also see what level the students are and average it, but there are lots of different ways you could use this to actually grade. So just to give you a sense of what this looks like, here's the scenario. And in this scenario, it's about clovers. And we're looking at the number of leaves as a trait. Most have 3, but every now and then a mutation occurs, and 1 out of every 10,000 clover plants produce a 4-leaf clover. So they're saying that's lucky. So this would be question 1. And remember, this would be an example of, say, a level 2, if a student could get this right. It's multiple choice. It's something that's a model that's covered very extensively in the unit, and they've got to decide what's the correct order of steps that determine the trait of an organism. So they have to look at these models. Is it A, B, C, or D? We want them thinking about like this basic DCI. How does how do these steps go in order to get this trait? So that would be an example of, say, part A. If the student gets that right, you might consider them a level 2. Then if we move on, here would be the 2 questions that the students might have to do to show evidence of level 3 proficiency. Part 1B is taking a look at that 1A model and then describing how a mutation changes the trait of an organism using the model. So you can see we're bringing in, they've got to use that model. It's a constructed response. It's a lot more difficult than that first question, so it shows greater proficiency. And then part 1C, we're really now starting to think about, it's a multiple choice, so it's a fairly easy question, but they've got to decide how traits caused by mutations, what type of effect, how could this distribution of a beneficial trait change in a population over time? So now they're really making a prediction, and it's a little bit more difficult. And then our final question that would be more of our level 4 evidence would be, how do we know? Is that 4-leaf clover trait, is that a beneficial mutation? How do you know? So they've got to go back to that data that it happens 1 in 10,000. It doesn't seem to be getting more, happening more often like you would expect would happen if it's a beneficial mutation. So you can see this is a lot more difficult. They're needing to use all 3 dimensions in order to answer that question. So just to give you a sense for kind of how we decide which part would be evidence of what level of proficiency. And so let's see. Then next, let's see, do we have next fall and winter? We're going to be doing some more assessment series. We're going to take a look at implementing standards-based grading. And in particular, we're going to look at having students do some tracking of their own progress and their own growth and proficiency, in particular with SEPs, but also using that DCI and that CCC knowledge, so that integrated three-dimensional accommodations and modifications. We're always looking for ways to do that. And then we're going to do a session on teaching your students how to take 3D tests, in particular, maybe to help get ready for the MSTEP. So we'll give you some tips and tricks. We used to teach students how to take traditional tests. We really need to inform them how strategies to take these kinds of tests. All right.
Thanks, Barb.
Sure.
All right. So these will be 2-hour, 4 to 6 p.m. Virtual sessions, and we're just nailing down dates. And as soon as we have dates, we'll start posting them mid to late summer, so that you can plan to do that if that's something that you're interested in. I know I personally, I listen to Barb do PL a lot, and I've learned so much just from listening to her. But just knowing that you have this guide, you don't have to guess yourself at what level those different questions are, is huge to me. I was like, all right, I could do this now. So those are coming soon.
And keep in mind, they're just recommendations. So use them as you want, but they're just recommendations.
Yeah, but I don't have to reinvent the wheel then, right? So, all right. So I'm going to turn this over to Steph, and she's going to do some curriculum updates and some program information.
Hey everybody, it's great to see everyone today. Thanks for being here. Excited to chat with you a little bit. I don't have too much info, but some important nuggets, so I'll try to keep it brief and to the point. So the first big thing that we want to make sure everyone knows about is that we're going to have 7 more enhanced units coming out next school year. 4 of them will be coming out in August, and then 3, the final 3, will be coming out in December. We're able to be very flexible. If you need a preview of a unit or material lists prior to the publication dates, just give us an email and let us know. You can email the MyStar address, or you can email Chris or Marianne or anyone that you have contact with. We're really happy to help out. But I think the really exciting thing with this is that once these 7 are out, we will have gone through and enhanced all 22 of the MyStar units. So that's a big milestone, and thank you for being with us. All the units will have those differentiated reading guides, navigation guidance, visible thinking routines, the shorter and tightened assessments, the tighter storylines, and pretty much in every unit, fewer lessons, which I know we're all excited about because there's plenty to teach in NGSS. We don't have to add more. So those are enhanced units, and if you need anything or have any questions, let us know. And then also very exciting news, slide guides. So we've been listening. We know that for many educators, these slide guides are really helpful. I know when I give a PD delivering MyStar material, I always use slide guides. There's just so much to keep track of in NGSS instruction. So the slide guides will be available in all updated units. Our goal is to have them kind of rolling out next year. Stay tuned for updates on the exact schedule, but we'll have more for you on that in August. They are available already in 6 of the updated units, but they will be rolling out so that they're available eventually in all 22. So that's important that we have those for you. And this facelift, we're pretty excited to show you. We'll probably be getting a little bit of feedback from you all here and there. So stay tuned for that. Also, unit summary tables. We were thinking, well, we're not going to have too much to do once the 22 units are revised. So we might as well go right down the list and start to address things that you all have asked for. We had really positive feedback with the reading apprenticeship pilot of the unit summary tables in 8.1. They were very highly scaffolded. They supported students to make a complete answer. We've known for a while, since the beginning of MyStar, that some of the exemplar text is more aspirational compared to what middle schooler would actually write. And so we're excited to work on this new format that's really going to get support students to fully address all of the different bullets in the answer, and just to make it more practical and easier to implement in the classroom. So we do want your feedback on this. We have at that link there is a pilot format. It's for 1 unit. It's for 7.2. So if you have a chance to go in there, you can just email me your feedback. My email address is there, or you can email Chris or Marianne. That's great too. We all communicate. But we would love to get your feedback on this format and what you think, any other ideas that you have. And our goal is to have pilot formats of this in all of the units for next year in the portal. They won't be implemented in the anchored science workbooks until the following school year, just because of their publication cycle. But our hope is that having the material digitally to pilot and try out will at least be a help. And we know too that many of you also have your own formats that you worked on. A lot of that also was the genesis of this idea. And so if you have ideas for us, in addition to feedback, please send that along too. We would love to hear from you, but we're very excited to attend to that. We know it's been something that y'all have been thinking about for a long time. So we're excited about that. All right, and then program updates. We have a few things, the basic nuts and bolts. So a big one is just subscriptions for next year. No real major changes here. It's the same per teacher. The cost of subscription is $350 for the year. You get all the great stuff that's included, like this space here and the curriculum, any units that you need, and any other virtual PD, as well as the support from us, ongoing support via email, and even phone if you really need phone support. We're happy to get on the phone too. Active PLFs and teacher leaders do not have a subscription fee. Active just means that you're up to date on your refresher, and you also have active teachers who do have a subscription. If you have any questions about that, get in touch with Marianne or Chris. Just a reminder that Title II and Title IV funds can be used for the subscription. And then below here, there's just some links that will be really helpful to you. There's the payment link, which is the easiest. And then there's also some options for invoicing. So if your district needs to do an invoice, you can look at this here. We're also in touch, Marianne's been in touch too with district contacts, who are often the ones, usually the point of contact for paying for the subscription. So this may be in motion in your district, but if you know that you're the person who needs to get this going, then this is the information for you. Also, I know there's been a lot of movement on this, but there are anchored science workbooks now from Kendall Hunt. It's MyStar. It's the same as MyStar. It's just in a beautiful full color spread. So just had the prices there for your reference. It's $750 per the student edition, $18.95 per teacher edition. And then Sarah Zenner is an important contact. She's the Michigan sales rep at Kendall Hunt, and she can answer any questions you have and get your order set up for you. And then this is just a list of the units that are currently available in print. We are working on getting more of the units into print. There's just the sort of the kind of the workflow in series has to happen where we're updating the units, enhancing them, sending them to Kendall Hunt, then Kendall Hunt is getting them compiled in their workbook format, has to go through a whole proofreading process. So there's a little bit of time involved, but we do hope that we'll have at least another 4, possibly 5 units available for next year. We'll be working to firm that up very soon, and Sarah will have that information. You also can reach out to us at any time if you're looking for a particular unit and you're wondering what the status is. And then final update from me. We are excited to announce that anchored science kits are now available from Kendall Hunt. They are perfectly compatible with MyStar units. There's no difference between an anchored science kit and a MyStar kit. It's just that it's a Kendall Hunt product. You can order those now with Sarah at Kendall Hunt. I will note that, again, it's the updated enhanced units that are available right now in kits. But we are working with them to get the units that are in the process of being enhanced into kit format as well. So we'll keep you all updated as that goes along. Sarah is updated as well. But again, if you have any questions about a specific unit, please get in touch with us. I see a couple of folks clicking on the link. We're excited to announce there will be a webinar and Q&A with Sarah on May 16th from 4 to 5 p.m. And you can register at that link. We hope you all will join us and learn more about the kit product. We're all still learning about it too right now, but we're very excited and hope that you'll be there to learn with us. Also, of course, have to let you know on the other hand that we are ending our partnership with NASCO. They will no longer be providing kits, although they are selling out the existing kit inventory that they have through the end of this June. So upcoming through June. They will, I want to note, continue to sell individual parts for kits. They have in stock almost everything that was included in MyStar kits. So if you are looking for a refill, if your district has been working with them on those refills and individual part components, they will continue to offer that. You can get in touch with them at their email, which is below the mystar@nascoeducation.com. At some point, that email will be phasing out, but they'll be in communication with you. That probably won't be happening until at least to the end of the year. But they will continue, as far as there's demand, they will be providing those individual kit parts. So just want to make sure that everyone knows that. If you have any questions regarding any of this, I know there's a couple of units that are sort of in the middle of the process. Just please reach out to us and we'd love to help you out. So I think that's all that I had. Thank you everyone for listening.
All right, thanks, Steph. So I'm going to talk to you about a few professional learning updates, and then we'll get to the breakout rooms and the Q&A stuff. So this happened a little while ago, but I'm not sure everybody was aware. We had for a while subplans, like a generic subplan for each lesson, or excuse me, for each unit. We had generic subplans for each unit, and they were written using Newsela articles. And at that time, you could get like a free trial subscription access to Newsela. And Newsela seems to be much more difficult to get into now unless you pay for their subscription. So we've removed those so that teachers don't get frustrated. And we've suggested to use in replacement the differentiated reading guides that we have for each unit now. And there's a at least one career education lesson plan for each unit. And in the lessons, the middle lessons that don't have differentiated reading guides, they have analysis questions and reteach activities because they're connected to an embedded assessment in that lesson. But those analysis questions can be homework or subplan kinds of things. And the reteach activities are really designed to be done by students, maybe with an adult assisting, but not necessarily a science teacher. So some of those can be used for subplans also. So just so that you know, that's where the subplans went and that's why they went away. And we think that there's quite a few options to replace them. And if you're ever really stuck, I've had every now and then somebody emails me like, I don't know what to do. I need an emergency subplan, and I can find stuff. So let me know if you get really stuck. Our unit policies with new teachers, this is not going to affect most of you, but if you're mentoring a new teacher, you have new teachers starting in the fall, we are loosening up those policies. The traditional teachers getting hired in June or August and starting in September just doesn't seem to happen quite as smoothly as it did in the past. We have a lot of people coming in mid-year and they're hired, you know, after the school year starts and they need stuff right away. You know, so they're not lost or trying to borrow somebody else's subscription or whatever. And so when new teachers register and get their new subscription to MyStar and they register for the phase 1 training, they're going to always be given unit 6.1 because we use that in phase 1. And then we're going to let them right away ask for another unit, whatever unit they happen to be teaching. If they're teaching 2 grade levels and they need 2 units, then you just send me an email or email Marianne and we'll just give them what they need. We don't want anybody to struggle with this or worry about it, or, you know, there's enough stress in everybody's life. So we're going to automatically let everybody ask for what they need right away. And then once the teachers finish phase 1, then they can continue to request units. We've reduced that requirement for the unit prep courses to just 1. We really would like teachers to see 1 unit prep course, first of all, because we think they've been rewritten from the primer style, and we think that they're probably actually pretty useful. And they also tend to kind of review some of the basic pedagogy, you know, what happens in the anchor, why do we have this connect piece, those kinds of things. And so, and they remind teachers of all the resources and where they are, which, you know, phase 1 is drinking from the fire hose. And so that unit prep course can be kind of a reminder of all the stuff that you have available. And so we would like to see teachers do 1 unit prep course. And then after that, you'll always get an invitation to the unit prep course. If you use it, great. And if you don't, you don't have to. If you are a teacher leader or professional learning facilitator, I would recommend maybe you approach your administrators and ask if there can be some kind of compensation or time set aside, maybe in August during, the PL that happens before school starts or whatever, so that teachers have time to do that unit prep course. And again, any special circumstances, whatever you see here is not exactly what you need something else, let us know. We do not want anybody to be stressed out more than you have to be from, everyday life as a teacher. So just let us know what we can do. Summer professional learning. We are going to train a new batch of professional learning facilitators and teacher leaders. So if you are looking to kind of level up your leadership experience, we'd be happy to have you. You can click on that sign up link on the dashboard and it'll take you to an application process. Your district's going to pay for that training and then they don't have to pay for your subscription ever after that. So it kind of balances out. So we would be more than happy to have some new PLFs and teacher leaders. We also have the phase 1 trainings have been announced. So if you are involved in helping a new teacher get started, the September one is also on the dashboard now. When a new teacher gets their subscription, they can click on that and sign themselves up. You can also hold a spot for them. So if you are a leader in your district or your region and you know that you're going to have a new teacher, you haven't made that hire yet, don't have a name, but you need to hold a spot, you can do that also. Right now there's almost I don't think there's anyone signed up now, so it's not a big crisis right now, but as it gets closer to August, they'll start filling up. So if you need to hold a spot, you can go ahead and do that on the dashboard. You can also send me an email. We'll make sure that happens. And then just a reminder, if people are looking for maybe sketches or something over the summer, we do have those phase 2 Canvas courses, and they're not quite as interesting as doing them, live face-to-face or even virtually. But they are there and they're available. So we're just reminding you that that's available over the summer. And then this is just from me to you. As a teacher, I used to feel really good if I left in June with my copies made for that first week in September, and makes your summer a lot more relaxing because you can kind of hit the ground running. So just a reminder that we have a whole bunch of off-the-shelf lessons that would work really nicely for that first week of school when everybody's schedule is changing and you can't even make a seating chart yet because kids are moving in and out and stuff like that. So you don't really want to launch that first lesson. But all of these would be, some perfectly reasonable ways to kind of get started. And so just to remind you that those are there. And, if you want to prep before you leave for September. All right, lots of talking at you. Let's go ahead and I think Lindsay's going to set up 3 breakout rooms. Barb will be in room 1. And Steph will be in room 2, and I will go to room 3, and you will be able to choose what room you want, and you will also be able to leave that room and join a different room at any time, when you would like to. So, and we have quite a bit of time. We'll maybe take 20 or 25 minutes in the breakout rooms, and we may end up finishing a little bit early today, which is never a bad thing. Thanks, everybody. We will hang out for a little while longer if you had conversations that you want to continue. But we thought we had quite a bit of time in the rooms, and we thought we might get you out a few minutes early if you're good to go. So we have just a couple things to wrap up, and then we'll get you out of here. We do have upcoming stuff. We have that May 16th webinar about the kits and the workbooks. The new PLF training starts in June. We have phase 1 happening in August. And then we also have a later one at the end of September for all those people who get switched or hired at the last minute. We encourage you, if you haven't already, to join our Facebook group so you can see all the good stuff that's going on and talk to other MyStar teachers. And that's it. So thanks so much for being here. This is our last learning series for this school year, but we'll be back at the end of August. We have lots of good ideas for the fall. So hopefully we'll do some stuff that'll be useful to you. We do appreciate your feedback always. So there's a link there on that last slide for feedback if you want to provide us with some. And as I mentioned, if you're good to go at this point, please go and enjoy the rest of the day. If you do have something that you would like to talk to one of us about, we'll hang out for a while until everybody's been able to talk about whatever they need to talk about. So thanks so much and enjoy the rest of your day.